Should you start collecting Pokemon in 2025? Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Rich Nobody, and I hope y'all are having a blessed day today, or night, whenever you're watching this. So obviously, if you're watching this video, then you probably watch a lot of videos on YouTube that relates to Pokemon content, and you probably like collecting it yourself. But maybe for some of you, you just recently got back into the hobby and you're a little curious on where to start collecting because you see everybody kind of collecting everything right now. Well, as somebody who just started collecting again back in October, I kind of went through the same thing just a couple months ago. As I got back into the hobby, I started watching a lot of videos on YouTube, and I kind of fell into that same sort of situation where I didn't know where to start. So I hope this video is going to help you decide where you can actually start. Now, first off, there are two paths you can start in, and it's going to be either the modern era or it's going to be the vintage era. Now, what I mean by modern is basically Sun and Moon to Scarlet and Violet, I would say, is pretty modern. And then anything before Sun and Moon, like X and Y and earlier, is going to be your vintage area. Which is crazy to think that XY is being considered vintage now, because I grew up with those cards and I don't feel like it was that long ago. For a majority of this video, we're going to be talking about the modern area of collecting. If you want more information on the vintage, I would definitely watch somebody who actually collects vintage stuff. For me, I don't really collect vintage stuff. I'm more of a modern person, so that's kind of my bias for this video. But anyway, like I said, modern is going to be your Sun and Moon to Scarlet and Violet era, and let's go ahead and start with Sun and Moon. Now, if you're wanting to start with the Sun and Moon era of cards, I would recommend that you have a lot of capital to start collecting with to begin with, because Sun and Moon is going to cost you a pretty penny to collect a lot of these products. You've got boxes like Team Up and Unbroken Bonds that are going to be going for crazy prices. I think Team Up right now is going for about $2,500 for an ETB. I could be wrong. I'll put it up on screen, whatever the current price is, but I know it's pretty mad. Everyone is obviously going for that Latios and Latios, and I actually have the fourth most expensive card, maybe third. It's the Magikarp and Wailord Alt Art. My prized possession. I'll keep on talking about it. I do not care. But Sun and Moon era is definitely going to be for the rich collectors that are just starting out. So if you're not rich, don't worry. I got you covered, because now we're going to be talking about the Sword and Shield era. Now, Sword and Shield has a lot of crazy sets, and this was around like the COVID era when Pokemon wasn't really in a good spot in terms of popularity. So a lot of these sets went unseen for quite some time, which is why a lot of people made a lot of money whenever they were, consistently collecting every single set when no one else was, and they ended up getting a bunch of, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike boxes, and yeah, they made out like a bandit. But for you new collectors, I would definitely recommend looking into other sets in that era, like Crown Zenith and what is it called? Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin. Those sets are really good. If you're just starting out, I would definitely say Sword and Shield would be a safe bet to go to. Now, you will be paying a little bit extra premium cost for these boxes because they have been sitting in the market for a little bit now, so they've had some time to sort of cement their feet into the market and start rising in popularity and whatnot. They're still really good products, and I would highly recommend picking up a few if you have the capital for it. I mean, it's not like you're going to be spending thousands of dollars unless you're going to put everything into Fusion Strike and Evolving Skies. If you're going to go into the other sets, you're not going to be spending that much. Now, of course, we wouldn't be talking about modern if we're not talking about the most recent era, which is Scarlet and Violet, and it's honestly one of my favorite eras of all time. Personally, I would have XY at number one for nostalgia reasons, but second place for me would definitely be Scarlet and Violet in terms of the best era we've had so far. Scarlet and Violet introduced having a holo in every pack and having 2 reverse holos in every pack, and then we had the special illustration rares and the illustration rares and all these crazy things that were going on all at the same time. Scarlet and Violet has been a really good era, and surprisingly, the boxes are still pretty cheap. I think right now Scarlet and Violet base booster boxes are going for about $130, and that's amazing for a base set box. Now, of course, Scarlet and Violet base does kind of get overshadowed by the second set that came out in the Scarlet and Violet era, which is Paldea Evolved. And Paldea Evolved actually went pretty unnoticed for its first run, but in recent times, like in 2024, that set really started to shine and that Magikarp started rising like crazy. Thankfully, even with the rising popularity of Paldea Evolved, you can still get it for a pretty decent price. So if you have the money to start collecting, Paldea Evolved is the way to go. The next set for Scarlet and Violet was Obsidian Flames. Now, I gotta say, Obsidian Flames, in my opinion, is kind of like underrated. You know, we have this amazing special illustration rare Charizard, and it's not even like really talked about in the market right now. I definitely feel like Obsidian Flames deserves a lot more love. So if you're just starting out collecting, I would definitely pick up some Obsidian Flames. I feel like, especially since the boxes are cheap right now, all they would do is just go up in price. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a safe bet. Now, the fourth set of Scarlet and Violet, I kind of get a little mixed up here because we have Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade. I'm pretty sure Twilight Masquerade comes a little bit later, but it's Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces that I always get mixed up around. I can't remember which one came first, but both of those sets, in my opinion, are extremely good and extremely underrated. Thankfully, I was blessed enough to open up a Paradox Rift ETB and I pulled the Groudon, which is currently the most expensive card in the set. So I do have a little bit of bias towards it, but I feel like Paradox Rift has some really good hit rates, and even if it's not the Groudon that you get in the set, there's a lot of good cards in the set. Paradox Rift was another one of those sets that whenever it released, it really wasn't talked about in the community all that much. They kind of just brushed it off because I'm pretty sure around the same time Paradox Rift was coming out, they were talking about 151 releasing. So it kind of just got glossed over, and then everyone, you know, flocked over to 151, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I don't really want to talk a whole lot about specialty sets, but 151 obviously we can talk about that in a little bit. But even the set Temporal Forces, I feel like is kind of getting looked over even right now. No one's really saying, you know, oh, Temporal Forces is rising, it's going crazy. You know, none of the cards are really outstanding and stuff, but I feel like Temporal Forces might also be another one of those safe plays where if you buy it, I'm pretty sure it's going to go up in the future like every other set does. But I would definitely be a little more cautious when it comes to Temporal Forces. I wouldn't buy a whole bunch of it like I would say for Obsidian Flames or Paldea Evolved. I would just be a little bit careful with Temporal Forces because it might not be one of the heavy hitters of this era, but it's still a good set. Now, Twilight Masquerade definitely shined the brightest in 2024 with that Greninja going crazy, but I feel like Twilight Masquerade is definitely another safe play to go to because I'm pretty sure the booster boxes for Twilight Masquerade are only going for like 160. So again, all these boxes right now, less than $200. Like, I get that we're used to like $120 booster boxes at release and stuff, but $160, you can't really go wrong with that, especially since it's been out for as long as it has, and it has some really good cards in there. And then I guess we can go ahead and talk about 151 now since we're kind of getting a little bit past when it released. 151 is one of those sets that is going to continue rising no matter how much it's printed into the ground. It's a really great set. It's, you know, got all the original 151 Kanto Pokemon and everybody loves that. It's got the Sunzard. I don't want to call it the Sunzard. It's the Charizard Special Illustration Rare. I don't know why y'all are calling it the Sunzard, but it's a good looking card. It's also got the Blastoise. It's got the Venusaur. It's got all these amazing cards. And there's God packs in the set, so if you get lucky, you get it. It's great. But yeah, honestly, for $10 a pack right now, it does seem a little crazy. But if you were to buy the things like, you know, the ETBs or the special boxes, whatever you want to call them, the collection boxes, it's still pretty decent value. And obviously they're still coming out with, you know, like the Blooming Waters and stuff, which is, it's probably going to be impossible to find those, but I know that some stores are releasing them early. So if you want to go and check your local stores, see if they have them, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But 151 is definitely going to be a set that everyone's going to continue talking about, at least for the next couple of years. So if you want to pick up some 151, I personally would. But now we're getting into the more newer sets of Scarlet and Violet era. I would definitely want to talk about Stellar Crown, because I feel like Stellar Crown gets glossed over a lot, especially since it's the set that came right before Surging Sparks did. And Stellar Crown, I feel like, is an amazing set. Obviously, it has the Bulbasaur, it has the Squirtle, but then it has this special illustration rare Terapagos. That card looks sick. People like the colors and the rainbow border. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of the rainbow border, but I personally love it. So that's just a bonus. But yeah, like Stellar Crown booster boxes right now are going for like $120, $130. That's really cheap, and if you're like me and you want to buy $120 booster boxes like they are at release, Stellar Crown is a great set to buy, especially since it's been out for a little while and it's still staying around that price right now. It is rising a little bit right now, but if you're starting to collect right now, you won't have any problem picking these up right now. But now I guess we should talk about Surging Sparks. Don't buy this set. Now, obviously, that seems a little harsh. You know, it's the latest set that's been out and you should definitely pick it up. But at the price that it's going for right now, I would hold off on it. I do feel like we might be getting a reprint of this set later down the line, maybe later in 2025. I'm not sure. But $240 for a booster box, that just seems a little excessive for the most recent set that came out. Now, once the price does go down for this box, maybe it goes down to like $180, $190, I feel like it might be a little bit more worth picking up then, because the cards in the set are extremely cool. Like this Latias card, I actually pulled this card. If you watched my first video, I was talking about some of my graded cards. I did pull the Latias and I did grade it a 10, so that was a really cool experience. And it just looks really cool. The artwork is amazing. Obviously, there's the Latios and the Latias side by side, and it sort of makes one piece of artwork. And then we have the Milotic and the Phoebus double card art thing. I don't know what you call them. Dual art. I think dual art is a pretty nice name. We should start using that more often. Dual art cards. With that aside, like I said, Surging Sparks is a great set to have. It's just way too expensive right now. So if you're starting to collect right now, I would just hold off on it a little bit longer, wait for the price to go down, maybe wait for a reprint, and then I would say pick it up. And I guess we should probably talk about the set that's coming out in a couple of weeks, Prismatic Evolutions. Do not buy this set right now. $130 for a regular Elite Trainer box for a set that's not even released yet? Do not buy this. I don't know who is buying this box for $130 right now, but guys, just wait for release. Go to the Pokemon Center on day of release. I bet you they'll have some more in stock, and then you can buy some at $60. And it's going to be the Pokemon Center brand, which is going to be even more expensive if you decide to just keep it sealed and then resell it later. Like, the Pokemon Center stuff is what everyone talks about in terms of Elite Trainer boxes. Being able to get one for $60, $70 at release, that's not bad at all. But yeah, as of right now, do not buy Prismatic Evolutions. That set is way overhyped for $130 at pre-sale value. That's just ridiculous. Now for a couple of miscellaneous topics. You know, we talked about, which sets you should probably start collecting if you're brand new to it. But if you're brand new to collecting and you don't necessarily just want sets, you kind of just want cards, like single cards, I wouldn't buy the entire set that your card that you want comes in. I would stick to just buying the single cards that you want, because it's probably going to be a lot cheaper to just buy the card outright than it is to randomly pull it out of a bunch of random packs, because you'll probably be spending a lot more on the packs than you do if you just buy the card. And that's just some humble advice, because I will say I've had times where I have a chase card and I go and buy a bunch of just the set and I try to pull it and I don't end up pulling it, and then I have to, spend more money than I have to get it. So it's not worth it from personal experience. Just buy the card outright. Anyway, if we're going to go ahead and close out this video, I guess we can go ahead and just answer it outright. If you want to collect Pokemon cards in 2025, I personally wouldn't go for the 2025 sets that are going out. I would look back and look at some of these earlier Scarlet and Violet sets and Sword and Shield sets. If you want to start collecting, I would go for that instead, because Prismatic Evolutions is not going to be available for a cheap price unless you are super fast. And the Team Rocket set that's coming out, probably not going to be available again. It's probably going to be super expensive for pre-orders. The Battle Partners set, again, same sort of thing. It's not going to be a great year for Pokemon in terms of new sets and availability. But obviously all the older sets are going to be available, so I would go with those. But yeah, I think that's going to go ahead and do it. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, and if you want to support this channel or if you just like what I do, I would go ahead and hit that subscribe button. With that being said, I hope y'all are having a blessed day, night, whenever you're watching this, and we will catch y'all in the next one.